Okie dokie, everybody. Welcome back. You're here at the Fox Den with Pater Voss, the Papa Fox, and we are going to start a brand new show on my channel. This will be once a week. It'll be on Tuesdays, and coincidentally enough, it'll be called Tyranny Tuesdays. Tyranny is a game by Obsidian Entertainment and Paradox Interactive. Basically, if you've been watching my Pillars of Eternity game, this is pretty much the same thing, but it's a newer version, and it's a little bit of a different spin. Basically, the Evil Empire, whatever, I'm using air quotes in that, the Evil Empire has won. They have beaten the good guys, and apparently, from what I've been able to read on the synopsis, like if you go to the game page and take a look at the flavor text, you are one of the evil overlord's right-hand people, or enforcers. And this is going to be completely blind, so let's be about it. This first episode is going to be character setup, and maybe the first little bit of the intro. So I don't know exactly how long this episode will be, and it might not be the absolute most entertaining if you like to cut straight to the action. So keep that in mind. With that being said, let's be about it. New game, story mode. I don't want story mode because do not receive wounds until they're knocked out. I'm definitely going to do hard or Path of the Damned. I think we're just going to do normal, just because, I'm a normal kind of guy. So let's go ahead with that. Accept. Okay. I'm super excited. I've been looking forward to playing this for a long time.
For over 400 years, the armies of Kairos the Overlord have swept across the known world. All who stood against them fell before their might. Even the Archons, women and men of immense power, were forced to kneel, chained to the Overlord's will. Now Kairos' final conquest has come to our corner of the world, and two of the Overlord's armies compete for the honor of taking our lands. The elite disfavored, and the teeming horde of the Scarlet Chorus. The voices of Nerat, spy master and archon of secrets, guides the fierce and undisciplined masses of the Scarlet Chorus. With each battle, the Scarlet Chorus grows stronger, as the defeated are given a simple choice: serve or die. Graven Ash, Archon of War and the Overlord's most loyal general, leads the disfavored. Though small in number, Kairos' ironclad legion has never met true defeat in open battle. Watching over the two generals is Tunon, the Adjudicator, Archon of Justice, eldest of Kairos' minions. Tunon brings Kairos' laws to newly conquered lands, aided by the Fatebinders, judges and executioners of the Overlord's laws. You were among the youngest of the court of Fatebinders when Kairos' armies came to our lands. How could we have known that the fate of thousands would rest in your hands?
Ooh, tingles. I'm so excited. Okay. Let's see. Male or female? Well, in my Pillars of Eternity game, we have been playing a male, so I believe in this one, let's go ahead and try a female. Okay, body type. Let's see. Let's go with that one. Skin tone. And let's keep it in the middle. Okay. Role. In the Northern Empire, where you were born, women enjoy equal protections under the laws of Overlord Kairos. Oh, a very progressive kind of person. Ooh, and they have little pop-up things. Cool. Kairos is a name out of legend. For centuries, the Overlord has consolidated power, sending vast armies to swallow entire realms. The most powerful mystic the world has ever seen, Kairos can issue edicts, magical proclamations that level cities, spread pox, sunder the lands, or change the course of seasons. Ooh. One of the things I will put in the description, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's called the Top 100 Things I'd Do If I'd Ever Become an Evil Overlord. It's a really hilarious list of rules and everything. They're a little bit dated. Some of them can reach back to the early years of geekdom, but I think you would find them hilarious. In the southern lands of the tiers, women may crew a ship, but only men may own or captain a vessel. While these customs give the oceans to the men, the lands are trusted to the women. Men may rent and lease, but only women may own land and bequeath it to their daughters and sisters. While following a parent's profession is standard, many women choose to pledge service to one of the Overlord's powerful Archons. Those without a viable trade or lands to call their own are often drafted into the armies of the Archons, where it is assumed they will rise to glory or vanish in obscurity in accordance to their worth. This is very well written. I wish I could be involved in a game where I get to write like this. Ooh. Okay. Next. Face and hair.
Got it! I'm injured. Tired. Let's rest.
Found something.
I think we'll go with the female aggressive. Okay, we have tattoos. That actually looks kind of interesting. Don't want anything on the face too much. Let's see. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Let's see this one. It's also kind of neat. Where's this one? Might be on the head or something? I don't know. Okay. Another face mask. Can do that on the fist. A tree. Snowflakes. Snowflakes. I cracked myself up. Okay, there's that. Don't want anything on the chin. Just because, I don't like... me personally, as a real-life flesh and blood person, I would never get a tattoo just because I don't like needles. I think they look cool on other people, but I don't know if I could ever go through that. Personal preference. Okay. I think we're going to go with that. That looks pretty cool. Oh, one of the things I want to mention is because this will be Tyranny Tuesdays, if you want to learn a little bit more about Norse mythology, Tyr is the goddess of, or not goddess, a Norse god of justice. So Tyr, Tyranny, Tuesday. Go on over to the Crash Course Mythology playlist and you'll be able to learn a little bit more about that. Okay, hair color. Let's go with... let's go with that. Okay, primary. I like green and brown, so we're going to keep it like that. Hair. How do we want the person's hair? That's very martial. Maybe... Let's see. That's kind of cool. That's also kind of cool. Good. No, we're going to go with the braid. Single braid. Nope. There we go. We're going to go with that. Okay, and our portrait. I don't think we're going to actually be a caster in this. I don't usually play wizardy characters just because the main character I want to survive any engagement, so I usually have my player character be a tank. Let's see here. Let's go with that. Sword and shield. Sword and board. How did we join Kyros' army? Ooh, this is kind of cool. Okay. I'm not going to read all of these. I'm just going to briefly glance over them and then pick the one I like. Today you are a Fatebinder, agent of the Archon of Justice. You are by no means free, but as a warrior scholar deputized with discretionary powers to interpret and execute the laws of Overlord Kyros, you are freer than most. One does not apply to be a Fatebinder. One is called by Tunon the Archon of Justice, and to decline is death. Millions of men and women live in the dozens of realms ruled by the Overlord. How did you stand out amongst this teeming mass of desperation and insignificance and gain the Archon's notice? Let's see, soldier, disfavored legion, lawbreaker, mercy, war mage, diplomat, noble scion, guild apprentice, hunter, pit fighter. I think we're gonna go with the pit fighter. Let's go with that. Not wishing to pay to feed and house two, the madam that purchased your mother sold you to the Proving Grounds, the Northern Empire's bloodiest and most notorious fighting arena. Given only enough training to assure the show isn't over too soon, your natural prowess and survival instinct led you to one victory after another. There was no elegant swordplay, no formalized duels, just brutal melee and the stench of blood, shit, and bronze with each day's gruesome necessities. It is said that any fighter that slays a dozen others in the grand melee is given her freedom. But in 300 years, only 3 warriors have ever walked away from the Proving Grounds. When the closing horn sounded and the 13 corpses lay about your feet, you became the 4th to be granted freedom to thunderous applause. But this autonomy was short-lived. Within days, word of your accomplishment made its way to the Archon of Justice. Next, primary expertise. Okay. Oh, we're not going to be that. I'm playing a monk in my other one, so I think, okay. We can do dual wield. We can do great sword. Focus on power and speed, slow attack style, but I deal lots of damage. Javelins are pretty cool. The sword and board. I've played this quite a bit, at least this type of style, and a lot of other games of this sort. And I haven't done dual wielding or great sword. I think we're actually going to go with the great sword weapons. Choose an ability. Sunder. Effects. Foe. Sundered for 20 seconds. Overhead attack that reduces armor. Ooh, cleave. We're going to go with cleave. I want to be able to take down multiple people in one go. Okay. Cleave. The cleaver. Actually, this kind of is poetic given my yeah. Okay. Secondary expertise. Ooh. We can actually have some spells. So let's see what spells we can do. Shock spells, vigor spells, bonuses to self. That's what we want. We want to be able to we want to be able to do that. So gain this ability, Titan's Touch. Fill the target with a surge of greatness, granting them a bonus to might and vitality. Allied target. Is that what we want? Yes, that is what we want. We're going to be a tank, and we're going to... Actually, wait, no. We're going to be a boom boom mage, atrophy, weakening their attacks, frost spells, interrupt their enemies, shock spells can frequently... no, we're going to go with vigor. This might not be the best combination, but this is what we're going to do. We'll make our bed and we'll lie in it. Character colors. Let's go with brown and forest green. I do love the brown and green. I love Firefly, so the brown coats is rather apt for me. Banner customization. Oh, looks like one of my cats is raising hell with another kitty. Let's see here. Because I think we're going to do that, maybe? Yes, that's a great sword, so we're going to go with that, and we're going to be great. No, we're going to do this one. Okay, and that's going to be forest green background, and it's going to be... There we go. That's a nice color combination. Let's go with that. Enter name. Since we are a lady, We shall be Petra Voss. There we go. Okay, might, physical strength, of course, finesse, wits, resolve, ability to endure physical and mental challenges, finesse, accuracy of attacks and spells, as well as increasing chances of armor to reduce, quickness, reduce. Okay, so and then there's vitality. Magic defense, resolve, and might. We are, of course, going to want to bump up resolve or might. Let's go with that and put our remaining 2 in resolve. There we go. That should be good. And yeah, we're going to leave these average. I don't want anything below 10 just because I don't want penalties. At least not yet, anyway. So we're going to start off a little slow, but we will gain traction. That won't be an issue. Okay. 20 points available. Magic Staff, Control, Vigor. Athletics, Lore, and Parry. Dodge. From bows, parry. Yes, we're going to want parry. 2-handed weapons. Okay, let's bump that up to 40. Magic Staff. 30. 30. Okay, there's that, and we're going to max out, or not max out, use the rest on parry. Okay, Conquest will allow you to play through Kyros's Conquest of the Tears. Choose how your character was involved in the invasion. This gives you the most control over the starting state of the game and how other factions will react to your character. Of course we'll do that. Why would we do anything else? There we go.
All the world has fallen to Kairos, and now the Overlord's eye is on the Tears, our home. The last corner of the world free of Kairos's reign. 2 armies, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, march south from the Northern Empire, the last realm to fall to Kairos a century prior.
Okay.
In the early days of 428, Kairos's armies arrive at the Gates of Judgment, the mountainous border that we Tearsmen so long believed unassailable. Unable to agree on a unified plan of defense, the various leaders of the Tears sit and wait for each other to deal with the conquerors, until it's too late.
Okay. Conquest. During the Conquest, you will decide your character's actions during Kyros's invasion of the Tears, shaping the world through which you will adventure over the course of the game. Each choice you make affects your character and how major factions of the Tears respond to you. Your decision matters. Choose wisely. 428 TR, Year 1 of Kyros's Conquest. Okay, I'm not gonna, I think because there's so much of this, I'm not gonna go through all of the lore in this, just because I know this is a blind playthrough and I'm really curious to read all about it, but, you know, if you want to do all of the in-depth reading, you should definitely get this game yourself. Obsidian is known for, you know, Pillars of Eternity. They're also known for Fallout New Vegas, so they are wonderful storytellers. Okay. The Bastard City stood on the northern border between Kyros's empire and the Tears. Built upon a natural harbor at the crossroads between realms, the city was a nexus of commerce. To the Tears, it was the center of all wealth. To a northerner, it was little more than a backwater trading post. Its symbolic status as a gateway to the continent made it a natural first target for Kyros's military conquest. Circumstances were ideal for you to prove your worth as a soldier in Kyros's armies. Taking this city would send a message to the rest of the Tears. Kyros will be insurmountable. Kyros's will is insurmountable. Select a token. Infiltrate. Gates of Judgment. Well, we are... Prepare the way. Well, since we're not a sneaky, So we're actually going to do the Gates of Judgment. And we're going to be, the one that breaks down the bloody wall. Okay, the armies of Kyros took the battle to the Gates of Judgment, trumpeting the opening call of the conquest of the Tears. The two armies, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, brought their distinctive sense of order and chaos to the assault. You went to battle alongside the army whose approach best suited your strengths. Disfavored. Standing shield to shield with Kyros' ironclad elite, you advanced on the mercenary army purchased by the nobles of the Bastard City. The Legion wanted to send a message to the Tears that superior breeding and discipline training would win the day. Flanked the Bastard City, drove them to flee. No, we're gonna charge right in. We're gonna, to quote Magnus Burnsides, we're gonna just rush on in. The Bastard City learned too late that a military is earned and never bought. The mercenary army quickly found themselves outclassed by the superior tactics and formation of the Disfavored. Those few who lived to the end of the battle were rounded up, the weak executed, and the strong enslaved to haul the army's wagons on the journey south. Oh, this is kind of cool. So we're not actually in these missions, so this is actually kind of cool. Okay, judge the enemies. You decided the fate of the soldiers captured in battle. Feeding the host, you found a way to feed Kyros' army in enemy territory. Soldiers of the Tears fell by the hundreds, and Kyros' armies could not agree on how to handle what few survivors they dragged back to camp. Befitting your role, the commanders turned to you to decide the fate of those who occupied the prison pens. There were only enough prisoners to support the plan of a single army. Let's see what this. Against the most optimistic projections, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus made short work of the local defenses. They did so well that the armies quickly outpaced their supply caravans. Troops were plentiful, but food was scarce. You only had time to execute one plan to secure provisions. We're going to decide fate. Since this is basically our entire, the whole game is we are the emissary of Kyros' will. This seems like a good thing to sort of get us into the groove. The Disfavored needed slaves to haul their gear, dig latrines, and keep their pellets warm at night. You co-signed the survivors of battle to their subservient role among Garvin Ash's noble troops. You gave prisoners a chance to serve in Kyros' army or die. The Scarlet Chorus was in need of extra troops to fill the vanguard. Your former enemies would occupy those slots nicely. I think we're going to go with this option, actually, for conscription, just because I'm a nice guy, and that sounds a hell of a lot better than that option. So we're going to do that. You armed cooperative ex-soldiers with scrap weapons and tossed them into the vanguard of the next Scarlet Chorus assault. Those who survived were welcome to take up arms and armor of the fallen and eke out a desperate struggle to survive in Kyros' military. After their first victory, you rewarded the new recruits with an opportunity to execute their wounded or reluctant countrymen. Well, we tried to do a good thing, and oh boy. Taking the Bastard City. The armies of Kyros amassed around the Bastard City, the first bastion of the Tears to fall. Both armies longed to storm the walled outpost. The Scarlet Chorus howling for plunder, and the Disfavored forming an unbreakable shield wall. Your prowess on the field of battle had carried them this far, but there were one more step before total victory. Both armies had inspired schemes to take the Bastard City. Which do you support? Okay, we can assault the main gates, burn the city, or sabotage the city's defenses. The ability concealing shadows, Warrior's Respite, Searing Palm. Okay. You joined the Disfavored vanguard in a direct assault upon the city gates. No fortification would stand before the unstoppable Legion. Joined the Scarlet Chorus in setting fire to the city and blockading the gates. Mixed fan. We are not going to be sneaky. Although this is really kind of cool. We are actually... Attack! Okie dokie is our battle cry. Okay, stand your ground and face defeat. Once per encounter. You'll regenerate health rapidly, but your damage is significantly reduced. That could be helpful. So let's actually see what Searing Palm is. Fire versus magic. Gather heated energy into your hands, release onto a foe. Now, we're going to do this. With heroic courage and legendary determination, the disfavored battered the gates of the bastard city to splinters. Those who fell under the consistent hail of arrows or cascades of boiling pitch left the battlefield temporarily, only to reappear hours later as Archon Gravenash's protection healed their numerous wounds. In time, the gates gave way, and Cyrus's forces spilled into the city, inside the city's wall, with resounding cheers of victory. Okay. The Bastard City settled into a new state of normalcy, with every tower displaying Cyrus's banner. Your name was whispered alongside rumors of a decorated career to come. The armies divided into two fronts that migrated south. Tunon sent word that you were to join the next frontier of Cyrus's conquest, either as a judge and overseer of a settlement of Lethian's Crossing, or as a war advisor with the armies advancing to the realm of Apex. You choose only one of these locations. Spy deposits of iron, war asset, strategic war asset, sent to forge, boundsmith. Troops of the mountain realm, in the second year of the war, joint force. I think we're actually going to oversee a settlement. I know we're usually the type to rush in, but this actually kind of sounds appealing, especially from Pillars of Eternity when you could run your own little keep. And because we are having to think further afield than war, we are going to be one of those folks who has to, make decisions on stuff. So we're going to do that. Either as a judge and overseer. Yes, judge and overseer. For 29 TR, year 2 of Cyrus's conquest. Have a sip of my tea. Years ago, Lethian the Bold founded a small merchant town at the intersection of ancient oddwalls. A pact between the settlers and a mercenary company meant that caravans were able to travel without fear of bandits or bane, and the town thrived in modest insignificance. That's actually a really nice phrase there. Lethian's Crossing drew Cyrus's attention for the iron deposits in the surrounding hills. With the region under Cyrus's control, the northern smith mages could set up workshops to refine ore and arm the disfavored with the finest weapons in the known world. The Archon of Secrets dismantled the mercenary support with a generous bribe, taking the crossing in a bloodless victory. Tunon dispatched you to travel alongside Cyrus's forces and bring order to the region. There we go. The Archon of Song's power ensnared the mind of a disfavored soldier. You must find a clever solution to improve production of iron weapons and armor. The smith mages worked day and night to create weapons. No one faulted their dedication. Yet production was slow. The plans that came to light proved divisive to the disfavored and Scarlet Chorus. On one hand, any additional manpower was needed for fighters, not forges. On the other hand, the celebrated weaponry of Cyrus's army needed to be fiercely guarded. Let's see what this is. Syrian Archon of Song used her arcane charm to lure locals into joining Cyrus's army. As a patroness of the Scarlet Chorus, her efforts were critical to the conscription of new recruits. When an enthralled, disfavored soldier joined her cult, his company feared that the Archon was growing out of control and needed to be stopped. Okay. This favor demanded that the Archon Song cease recruitment and that they be allowed to violently subdue her cult of followers. Loss of soldiers. Let's see what this is. Took refugees from the recent influx and forced them to serve in Cyrus's military. You repurposed these individuals to haul wagons of iron for the smith's mages. This proved an inconvenience to the Scarlet Chorus, who relied on their force of numbers to be effective in the field. Local tribe of beastmen. Their strength would more than offset their disobedience. The disfavored protested that the savages have access to the secrets of iron. We're going to repurpose those refugees. We're going to give them a chance to work, I think. Let's do that. I mean, all of these options are kind of like terrible. But this is the whole point of the game named Tyranny. Let's go with draw from the Scarlet Chorus recruits. The population of Leviathan's Crossing had swelled from the emptying of lands destroyed by Kyros's army. Although the Scarlet Chorus fought to keep the refugees under their control, the need for production could not wait. The new recruits were reassigned to haul iron ore from treacherous mine shafts, labor more befitting slaves than Kyros's artisans. Though the disfavored grew stronger with the advantage of more weapons, the Scarlet Chorus diminished as their ranks found themselves with one less opportunity for growth. Okay, what do we got here? Pick of the Armory and a Guardian's Due. Since you aided the production of weapons, commanders of both armies lobbied for additional arms. They offered all manner of bribes to be the next in line for a fitting session with the Masters of the Forge. How did you slate your lust for iron? Choose the disfavored. You let the disfavored have the iron, keeping the best tools for the hands of the elite. The Scar's Chorus saw the slight as an obvious display of preferential treatment. They gave the iron arms to the Scarlet Chorus commanders, knowing they pay very well for any killing tool. Weaponry of such a claim was typically reserved for the highest disfavored officers, but you were open to changing tradition under the circumstances. And you allowed no changes to the orderly dispensation of iron, and punished those who tried to bribe you twice. Let's see what this is. Kyros's army used Leviathan's Crossing as a reprieve from war. The city grew more crowded as a mercenary army hired by the Archon of Secrets occupied the barracks, where they drained resources and escalated tensions. The disfavored wanted nothing to do with the sellswords, but the Scarlet Chorus sought to invite them into the hold. We're actually going to do this. Keep the iron, keeping the best tools in the hands of the elite. Remain neutral. You allow no changes to the orderly dispensation of iron. We are going... What are we going to do? I don't like either of them very much. So, but I do kind of want to get bribed. I think we're going to actually... I know this is like slight as an obvious display of preferential treatment. It's probably going to make us kind of not too... Now, let's see what remain neutral will bribes in line. How did you set your lust for iron? We're going to... Let's try remaining neutral. Using language that left nothing open to interpretation, you let both commanders know that bribery would not be tolerated in Kyros's military. That didn't stop either of them from seeking you out again, making promises of wealth and advancement if you showed special favor. Deciding that enough was enough, you ordered both of the commanders flogged in view of their armies, letting pain and humiliation teach them where reason had failed. Who controlled the crossing? Tragedy struck when a mercenary hired by the voices of Nerat injured a forge-bound artisan, leaving him unable to practice his craft. Tunon ordered the mercenaries to leave the city in the hands of Kyros's more responsible servants. Only a token garrison could be left behind while the armies returned to the front. As the disfavored and Scarlet Chorus showed increasing tension and hostility towards each other, Tunon decreed it was at best that only one force controlled the crossing. To the disfavored, I think they're going to be more lenient on folks. They're disciplined, and as always, people tend to have it better when they're folks who are disciplined. So we are going to do that. The disfavored placed a modest garrison in the settlement of Leviathan's Crossing. Though the force was larger than might be needed to police the small settlement, protecting the forge-bound ironsmiths became the true agenda of the defense force, as these magical craftsmen kept the disfavored invasion force suited in iron. Relieved at the departure of the Scarlet Chorus, the citizens of Lethian's Crossing felt they got the least of two burdens. You received word from Gavin Asha that thanking you for your decision. The forge-bound and their weaponry could not be entrusted to the voices of Nerat. Okay. You only choose one of these. Okay. With the mercenaries expelled and Lethian's Crossing under new leadership, Curus's forces congratulated themselves on bringing order to the settlement and guaranteeing a productive flow of resources. Over the course of this diversion, the army front advanced further into the tiers. Your skills were needed in the realm of Azure, Stalwart, or the Velium Citadel. Let's see what this was. Easily defended position, rich military tradition, most formidable realm, conquering gaze, knowledge, secrets, subjugated nation of Azure. We're going to go with the Citadel. We're going to smash that to bits. Actually, no, we're going to go with this one. Best military tradition. 430 TR, year 3 of Curus's conquest. Let's see what we got here. The realm of Stalwart was best known for its proud army, disciplined, courageous, and undefeated on their home soil. Skill and resolve made Stalwart a military power that Curus's forces approached with due caution. With its southern position, Stalwart had been largely safe from war, watching for 2 years as its neighbors fell to Curus's forces. On the dawn of the third year of war, Curus's forces were finally poised to invade the Stalwart Peninsula and subdue the tier's most vaunted army. What do we got here? Marching on empty, tragedy struck when hungry Scarlet Corps soldiers appropriated disfavored supplies. A stinging defeat led to accusations among Curus's armies. After a defeat at the hands of enemy defenders, the Scarlet Chorus accused the disfavored of recklessness. The disfavored claimed the Scarlet Chorus brought too few soldiers to cover their flanks. Both armies refused to march until you gave a ruling. Knowing that for reputation as for discipline as well as Scarlet Chorus's powers to instill fear and friends, he decided that it was in the wrong. Lacking proof that the Lacking proof that the Scarlet Chorus recruits were negligent, you punished the disfavored. Okay, let's see what this is. Sour defenders burned their crops as they retreated, leaving the invaders little to forge. Starving, the Scarlet Chorus mob raided the Scarlet Chorus mob raided from the disfavored's well-maintained supply lines, incurring casualties on both sides. By your command, the thieves each lost a hand for treachery. Yeah, no, you don't steal food from your allies. That's no bueno. Even in time of war, there was no excuse for allied armies to battle each other in violation of Curus's peace. The disfavored rightly argued that they only had enough supplies to feed their troops. The Scarlet Chorus needed to better look after their own people. Agreeing with their assessment, you had the offenders staked outside the Scarlet Chorus's camp, left to send a message that hunger was no shield from justice. Okay. Again, no really good option has revealed itself yet. Okay. The Beasts of Stalwart. Mages discovered that a spell to turn beastmen slaves against their handlers. They were prepared to deploy the tactic elsewhere, but the disfavored protested. The use of unsanctioned magic practices ran contrary to Curus's law. To erratic be relied upon, even as shock troops. Better dead than red. Rather than submit to Scarlet Chorus conscription, conquered locals began committing suicide. Desperate to add more bodies to the horde, the Scarlet Chorus has demanded a portion of disfavored prisoners. Rate of recruitment, as the realm's population had taken a steep decline. the locals to assuage their fears. Okay. Nah, we're gonna go with this one, and we're gonna deny the Scarlet Chorus. I am really not starting to like the Scarlet Chorus. They kind of seem a little bit hinky for me. You agreed with the disfavored arguments. This conquest was never about ruling a graveyard, but the Scarlet Chorus acted contrary to that goal. The voices of Nerat and his mobs blamed you for suppressing their ability to conduct wars they saw fit. Well, no duh. In spite of their protests, you read this proclamation in every conquered village, knowing that enemy spies would hear your verdict. The disfavored carved a slow, steady path into the heart of Stalwart and surrounded the enemy's massive fortress. With the main bulk of their forces defeated, the enemy's leadership retreated to their mighty fortress, content to wait out the war. The Overlord answered this impudence with an Edict of Storms on the peninsula, a devastating spell that would endure for as long as the cowardly hearts of Stalwart's leaders persisted in beating. Okay. Knowing you had the trust of Gavanasha, Tunon deemed you the proper representative to deliver Kyros's edict. Aside from being given a 3-day window to read the edict, you received no other instructions. Edict of Storms, give no warning. Agreeing with the wishes of the disfavored, you proclaimed the edict at once, leaving the enemy no time to react. The Stalwart had ample opportunity to surrender for several years. The time for mercy was long gone. In an attempt to ingratiate themselves with the people of Stalwart, the Scarlet Chorus insisted that warning be sent to the towns and villages so that people may prepare. We're going to go with this one. Even so, we're going to go with that one. You warn the people. Kyros's wrath was intended for the cowardly regents of Stalwart, not those unfortunates swept up in the calamity of their leadership. A warning in advance of the spell would give locals time to prepare for the devastation to come. You are content to let punishment fall on the innocent as lightly as Kyros's will allows. Comforted that you might yet spare lives, you broke the seal of Kyros's Edict of Storms and read the Overlord's incantation. There we go. The clear skies darkened as you read the final words of the edict. A flurry of wind and rain whipped through the rolling plains and craggy canyons, turning rocks, uprooted trees, and hapless soldiers into hazardous shrapnel. Armed with a measure of foresight, you were able to remove yourself from the area before the storms grew more violent. Over time, nearby communities told of cyclones consisting of thousands of soldiers' worth of limbs, spears, armor, and skulls. What's more, the weather showed no sign of dissipating. Several units of disfavored who fought the enemy in spite of the advancing storm were caught up in the Overlord's magic. The few survivors regrouped and nursed their wounds. Their failure to topple the Stalwart Legion shamed them into believing the dead more fortunate. The name Stalwart fell from use. People took to calling it the Blade Grave, for the remade landscape festooned with iron and bronze armaments of two once great legions. As Kyros's forces departed, you spared a glance back at the ruins of Stalwart, marveling at your work. You didn't have long to rest before Tunon called you into service once more. Conquest complete. You have reached the end of Kyros's conquest. Do you want to continue or erase your progress and start over? We're going to continue. I believe once we get our first chance to save, we will, and we will call it an episode there.
The year is 431, and Kyros's invasion has shattered all major opposition in the tiers. The Younger Realms, the Bastard Tier, the Free Cities. All who defied Kyros lay broken by battle, or bowed in surrender. The two armies of the Overlord, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, now control our lands. But our will is not yet extinguished. Not entirely. In the Valley of Vendrian's Well, those of us unwilling to bow to Kyros have banded together in defiance. Violating an oath of surrender from 2 years prior, we have staged a bloody uprising, murdering the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus garrison in a midnight assault. With their main forces spread across the tiers, The disfavored and Scarlet Chorus redeploy to Vendrian's Well to crush the resistance, but months pass with no definitive battle. As disagreement and discord paralyze the Archons, we bide our time and wait for our message of insurrection to spread across the tiers. The Overlord is not amused, and Kairos has one message for the Archons: crush the Oathbreakers or die. Kairos backs this threat with an edict, a magical commandment that can slay all in the valley should the order be ignored. The honor of proclaiming this edict fell to you. Sent across the mountains to Vendrian's Well, you carry the Overlord's edict to read before the Archons. As you finally make your way through the winding mountain passes into the valley, the ground trembles, and Kairos' magic seals the way behind you. You are trapped in Vendrian's Well, with Kairos' armies and the Oathbreakers. The only way to survive is to fulfill the terms of the Overlord's edict, in any way that you can.
Ooh. Bloody eyes. Fatebinder Petra Voss, I presume we've been expecting you, and I've been expecting a save point. Okay, let's go ahead and make a new save file. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of the episode. If you've enjoyed, go ahead and feel free and hit that like button or give me some feedback. Of course, if you like my other work, go ahead and subscribe to the channel to see more awesome videos by yours truly. It's great to see you all here at the Fox Den. I hope you'll come back and pull up a chair next time for some more Tyranny Tuesdays. Again, this will become a regular episode on a regular episode schedule once one of my other games completes itself, and then I'll move this one onto one of those two slots. Alrighty now, you take care. Bye.